Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the show. The Atheist Experience is live January 11th, 2004. I'm your host, Martin Wagner. Ashley Perrien, my co-host as always.
Good afternoon.
And we're very happy to have you. This show is sponsored by Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. The ACA has weekly meetings every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. at Hot Jumbo Bagels, which is located downtown at 307 West 5th Street between Guadalupe and Lavaca. Except for the first Sunday, no, I'm sorry, that's changed. And I forgot. Yes. Reflex action. Third Sunday of each month now, when we have our lecture series in the Austin History Center. And so that will be next weekend now. This is a change for 2004. Our lecture series have moved from the first Sunday of each month to the third Sunday of each month. So next weekend we will be meeting in the Austin History Center. However, it's not going to be a lecture. It's going to be like just a business meeting and just a group get-together. I guess we're going to be talking about...
updates on the CFI, direction of the ACA over the next year, basically just what we've been doing for the past couple of years, what we're going to be doing hopefully in the next couple of years. And
new membership drive maybe?
Exactly.
Like that. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So all members of the organization are encouraged to attend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please do. So let's see. Our February lecturer will be Don Baker, speaking on morality. So that'll be third weekend in February. Other regular stuff that we do involves, of course, Godless Gamers, which is every Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. at the home of Russell and Virginia Glasser, and ACA Happy Hour, which takes place Thursday evening at Antonio's Tex-Mex near the intersection of Highway 183 and I-35. Starts about 7:30-ish, but people trickle in all evening long, so look around just for the loud, boisterous table of happy, cavorting atheists, and that will be us. The Nonprofits. Now, other stuff that we do. The Nonprofits is our bi-weekly internet audio show, which plays at the atheistnetwork.com website every other Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. And although if you cannot manage to log on to the live feed at the atheistnetwork.com website, you can visit our website at atheist-community.org. Click on the radio show page, and Russell has thoughtfully provided a direct link to the live feed from our site as well. Every other Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. The next episode will be this coming Saturday, and that's hosted by Jeff D., Russell Glasser, and whoever happens to be hanging out at Russell's house that day. 90 minutes of news analysis and argument about, back and forth about current events. A lot more politically oriented show than ours is, but tons of fun to listen to. And if you go to atheistnetwork.com and listen live, there is an interactive kind of JavaScript chat room feature that you can chime in and react to the show that way. So the Nonprofits bi-weekly at atheistnetwork.com, and you can listen to about the half dozen episodes as MP3 files on our website. And last but not least, our pals at the University Atheists and Agnostics, I guess getting ready to start up the spring 2004 semester. For more information about them, you can just visit their fledgling little website at studentorgs.utexas.edu/UAA. Steve will get that title up here in a second. If you are a registered UT student and faculty member, you can click on that website and get information about what the group is and where they're going to meet and what have you. But this was the first really successful UT registered student organization for atheists and agnostics, and so we encourage them very heartily. studentorgs.utexas.edu/UAA. Okay, and I think that should do it for the regular announcements. This is a live call-in show. If you've never watched us before, we've been on the air now about 6 years. We are the alternate view. We are the 90 minutes a week to provide the alternative point of view to the nonstop religious programming that you see on cable virtually all the time, at least half a dozen, 24-hour a day, all Christianity all the time, cable channels, and we're the 90 minutes a week presenting the alternate view. And we take live call-ins from folks at home, just like yourself. If you're interested in talking about this kind of thing, most people are never even exposed to the points of view of atheists and atheism. But if you are a first-time viewer to the show, don't forget that you can visit our website at atheist-community.org, and there is a FAQ page, Frequently Asked Questions page, and that's where we have compiled all of the most common questions, the frequently asked questions that we've gotten on this show over the last 6 years, and they happen to be the same kind of questions that atheists usually get from believers. Why don't you believe in God? What do atheists think about this and that and the other things? So, if you're a first-time viewer, check out that fact page on our website at atheist-community.org, because chances are we may have already answered your question. But if not, well, here we are. And last but not least, do not forget our viewer email address. tv@atheist-community.org is our address for viewer feedback. Typically, on every show, we don't get a chance to take every single call that we get from every single caller. There are usually always one or two people hanging on the line by when we have to sign off at 6. But never fear, you can email us your question if you don't get a chance to talk to us live, and we'll do our best to answer you. Got a letter last week from an atheist guy sort of bemoaning the atheist dating scene.
Oh, yes.
Which, it's sort of...
Which we sympathize with.
Yeah, we can understand. I mean, it's atheism is not a thing that a lot of people want to talk about in the first place.
Yeah.
So I just told him, just got to look around, dude. It's like anything else. Yeah. So, tv@atheist-community.org is our viewer feedback address, so please drop us a line, okay? That settles it for the announcements. Thanks again for joining us on this lovely afternoon. Nice weather for a change. And here's Ashley with the news.
Okay.
What's up in the world?
All right. First one, something to be happy about. Everyone has heard of John Edwards and the Crossing Over series, where he defrauds the public and says that, I'm speaking to your dead grandmother and, she's telling me that she loves you or whatever. He is being crossed out of the next schedule update. His show is being canceled. So after 3 seasons of being on the air, they have finally decided that the ratings were a bit too low, he's not doing anything, and so they're going to cancel him. Now, unfortunately, it's because of low ratings, and not just outright fraud.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. This would be a thing that I would be celebrating about more. Sure, it's a reason to celebrate with fewer of these charlatans on the air, but
exactly.
I would be celebrating about it if, the clowns at Sci-Fi Channel finally came to the realization, hey, this is like immoral and wrong to be putting this person on the air, defrauding the public, scamming these bereaved people and lying to them about these magic powers he has. Yeah, it's wrong to promote that sort of thing. Yeah. Rather than his ratings are low, so let's
cancel him.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's James Von Prague tried to do a show like Crossing Over, and I don't even think it got on the air. I think they taped some, but it was like
pilot episode type things.
Yeah, but it got it got bumped. Now, I don't think that this is an indicator that there's any less superstitious nonsense going on in our culture.
Unfortunately, not.
But what do you want to bet he's going to go on the public speaking circuit?
Oh, yeah. He's still
does.
Yeah, he's still going to be doing stuff, I'm sure. He just won't be doing it on
seminars. He's going to charge. He's going to have these seminars where he charges people hundreds of dollars.
Exactly.
To come and be told.
At least it won't be broadcast on Sci-Fi Channel.
There's all these idiots who don't think to ask, but if my dead grandmother really wants to talk to me, why doesn't she just talk to me? Why does she have to go through this former dance instructor? Yeah.
So anyway, he's being kicked off the air. Yay for that.
Wow.
So, all right.
Yeah. Well, I'll say yay when when the human race grows up and no longer needs that kind of superstitious crap to deal with life and reality. Yeah. That's when I'll say yay.
Yeah, can say that is.
This is a small
pure entertainment only.
Yeah, this is a small, kind of nice thing that's happened that. But that you should have never really, freedom of speech notwithstanding, he should have never gotten on the air in the first place, I don't think.
Yeah. So getting him pulled off, good action for the wrong reasons.
I wonder if now we'll have to see if he can do a reading where he contacts his dead show and does your show have anything to say to you, John, about its death, its untimely death?
Okay. All right, next one. Of all the places to go, this is going to be, this is the place to have it. Florida. They're opening up a new neighborhood, the Natura Resort. And it's basically a new Florida development is offering Christians the chance to bear all, not only for the sight of God, but for their own neighbors. The Natura Resort, currently under construction in a Tampa suburb, is a nudist colony with a difference. It aims to provide a wholesome, safe, family-oriented nude environment to counter the evils, including sexual abuse, it says, results from body shame.
But wait a second. What about chapter 3 of Genesis, right? I thought body shame was the whole idea.
Well, yes, it is.
With original sin.
But
but they're forgiven, so
they have explanations.
Okay.
The Bible very clearly states that when Adam and Eve were in right with God, they were naked. When people are in right with God, they do not have to fear nudity. So apparently, all these people are, in cahoots with a big one, and so they can strip down and nobody really cares.
So to speak.
But they do mention that alcohol will be banned in a bid to promote godliness. Nudity's okay, just don't drink.
Yeah, because naked, drunk Christians would just be a little too weird, even for conservative Christian Florida, right? I mean, if you want to see naked, drunk Christians, right, you just go to Fort Lauderdale and spring break. I mean, that's
exactly.
So there's already. Well, that's interesting. So what does Jeb Bush have to say about all of this?
No comment from our fearless governor in here. The modern-day Garden of Eden is being constructed on a dilapidated site of about 240 acres, bought for $1.6 million by the founder, Bill Martin. So
he probably does. Does he have takers on? I mean, does he have people trying to already bidding on lots and stuff?
I would expect so. I don't see anything specific here, but developers envisioned a live-in resort with up to 300 homes, a church and water park, and no need to bring swimwear. So
is the church going to be nudist?
Apparently, yes. Promises that families with less liberal attitudes to nakedness, some homes, blah, 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 blah.
Wait a minute, repeat that last part.
For those families with less liberal attitudes to nakedness,
right,
some homes under development will be designed so visitors have very little risk of them encountering nudity.
Why the hell would they move there in the first place?
Well, I guess for, passers-by.
What?
People who are...
No, if people are less liberal, right, about public nudity,
okay,
they don't want to see naked people walking down the street, right?
Yeah.
Then why would they move to that new subdivision?
Well, probably people who are passing through rather than moving there and living there. But
so this isn't...
It's still
this isn't going to be anything like a gated community? It's going to be like you can just...
naked Christians running everywhere.
There must be a 7-Eleven around here somewhere just... It's walking the dog.
Let's see.
Gardening.
Yeah, nude marriages and baptisms may, however, be available this spring, maybe a few years before the church and water park are completed. So everything's not done yet.
So they do nude baptisms in the water park?
Apparently, yeah. Bring them down to the fountain, dunk them.
Well, done this show nearly 4 years. Every time I think I've heard it all, there's a new thing.
There's something new that comes up.
And I noticed that you've gotten this article from the BBC website.
Yes.
Are there any American news outlets that have picked this up, or is it just too weird even for them?
I didn't see. This is the only one that I saw, but I didn't go looking around for second and third articles.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to Google this in a couple of weeks and see what, see
what's going on in Florida.
See what all the, the non-comfortable with nudity Christians are thinking about, what are these people up to? Interesting.
So anyway, apparently, if you're okay with God, then you can prance around in the buff. So,
well, I'm not okay with God, but if I'm in my house with the doors locked and the blinds down, I'm okay with
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, apparently here you can go out of your doors. So
yes. Well.
You can go to water parks and churches.
Go to Hippie Hollow. I guess they're not all Christian there.
Good point.
It's just like ew, just sort of.
A Christian nudist colony.
Well, just, there's just...
The idea of a big church.
People who are enamored of the idea of nudist colonies, cool, think it's all going to be, Chippendales guys and Playboy centerfolds. And you go to
Doesn't
Hippie Hollow,
usually happen that way.
Not quite, those aren't, so it's all, your ideal is not necessarily presented there, depending on...
They go into church, stand, sit, kneel.
Look, I'm all for this kind of freedom. I'm all for people being comfortable with this, and doing what they want to do. It's just the juxtaposition of Christian nudist colony. is
in America, we are very, very uptight about nudity and sex in general.
Because of 2,000 years of the church making people feel like they have to be ashamed of their bodies, which
exactly.
I think is dumb.
Exactly.
Right? You shouldn't,
exactly.
But it's just amusing now that. Yeah.
As a friend used to say, we should just have once a year, one day, just a get naked, get over it day. Everybody just strips off.
Get naked, get over it day.
Just for one day, you just strip down. At the end of that day, you'll be so sick of it, you won't care anymore. So lots of problems, I think, would be solved by that.
Especially if it was like in the middle of December. Or January, right?
Wow.
Okay. Maybe nudity's not always cracked up to be.
Not as good as it should be.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well.
Final piece of news. We're a little bit light this week.
We are.
Cleaners are called in to clear a court of voodoo dust.
Can't have that.
This is down in Miami, Florida, again. The other one's not Miami, but this is still Florida. An American lawyer has been convicted of money laundering after a trial disrupted by allegations that voodoo magic was being used to influence the outcome. Judge Patricia Seitz was forced to, under extraordinary security measures, at a Florida court building during the trial of Juan Carlos Elso, after the veteran prosecution lawyer, Richard Gregory, complained that his clothes were being ruined by voodoo powder. The debonair Mr. Gregory complained to the judge that his dry cleaning bills had become worryingly erroneous as the trial progressed, apparently because someone was scattering a good luck charm in his chair and his files of evidence. Outside the court, followers of Santeria played down the ominous overtones of the incident, pointing out that white powder can only be used to bring good luck, and speculated that maybe being spread around the court to sway the jury and the judge in favor of the accused. If that was the case, it was singularly unsuccessful. The jury found Elso guilty on 3 accounts of laundering hundreds of dollars for cocaine-running clients.
So there's lots of
powder everywhere.
Around, yeah.
Magic powder in more than one way.
Well, now, this isn't exactly as outlandish a story as it seems, because it's entirely possible that there could be some superstitious kook.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Going around and sprinkling this talcum powder around that they think is magic.
Oh, definitely.
To try to influence something.
Definitely.
And the prosecutor could be saying, look, there's these loonies, okay, and they're tainting my evidence and they're trying to do everything they can by sprinkling this magic dust all around, and please put a stop to it. So that's not.
Oh, yeah.
So so it's not like the prosecutor. But who did you say is being called on the carpet for this? Not the prosecutor.
It's very strange.
An American lawyer
has been convicted of laundering. But
the lawyer was the guy on trial in the first place.
Apparently,
right?
yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, and another lawyer is complaining about this.
Right.
Down here it says Miami styles itself Magic City. Such is the prevalence of outlandish beliefs in its suburbs. So the case raised few eyebrows outside the legal profession, which was shocked that the practice had penetrated the venerable halls presided over by Judge Seitz. The federal courthouse is rarely afflicted by black magic, whereas state criminal courthouses nearby are known to be a hotbed of such practices. Apparently there's a lot of this going on down there. They found...
there's lots of, the Haitian...
Exactly. Candles set up, dead chickens outside the church, stuff like that. Or outside the courthouse, I mean. So there's a lot of this going on. What's funny, they talk about a different case down here, a murder case, where apparently somebody was cheating, and the husband came in and killed the guy that was being cheated on and then killed himself.
Okay.
Or shot himself.
Yeah.
The Haitian who allegedly had the ability to turn himself into an armed but headless donkey. This remarkable feat is achieved by, as one of the doctors delicately put it, expelling 3 flatulence. The beast is said to have killed Viola, the guy who was doing the cheating.
Right.
And then forced Etienne, the guy who was convicted of it, to write a confession in lipstick on the bedroom wall, telephone 2 Haitian women to confess, and then put a bullet in his forehead.
So he thought that he had turned himself into a donkey.
Well, no. Apparently, here I am. I walk in on my wife having an affair with somebody else.
Right.
Off to the side, there's a headless donkey who's armed. He kills the guy, makes me write a confession on the wall that I did it. I call a couple of my friends and confess to it, and then the headless donkey forced me to shoot myself.
Well, that's pretty compelling. In terms of plausible explanations, that's
exactly that's up there.
Certainly worth looking into. Yeah, we'll get forensics teams right in there and start looking for donkey fur.
Yeah. And apparently the guy who's doing it just has to fart a couple times, and he's a headless armed donkey.
Well, I thought the headless armed donkey was a whole separate entity.
No. It's a fourth person apparently.
Yes, right.
He farts 3 times. So he becomes a headless armed donkey.
The husband farts.
No.
The donkey farts.
Yes. Well, a person
who's farting and who's shooting.
An outside person who has not been caught or convicted or found or anything like that farts a couple times, become a headless armed donkey, goes in and does all this, weird, wacky stuff.
Some random person on the street
for whatever reason
who has no knowledge, but he's walking down the street and he has a massive attack of gas.
Yeah, exactly.
And this turns him into
somebody.
A donkey with a gun.
Yes.
And he says, well, while I'm standing here being a donkey with a gun, I might as well go into this house, see if anybody's wife is banging the neighbor, and if she is, I'll shoot the guy.
Him.
And if the husband comes home
for it.
And this will make me what? Like stop being a donkey? And this will transform me back to?
Apparently.
Huh.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Boy. My goodness.
Thus is the goings-on in Miami.
Yeah. Just
we thought they were estranged before.
Nayland Noriega did absolutely nothing to put a tourniquet on the cocaine flow into that part of the country, it would seem.
Apparently not.
Okay.
So.
Huh. So if you're wandering down the street minding your own business one day, and
control your gas.
Yeah, you feel some coming on, or at least try to get all out in 2, right? Because it has to be 3 to turn you into a donkey.
Exactly 3.
I see. So. Okay.
2, you're okay.
What if you do 4?
Well, I guess you'd already be a donkey by then. So
if you turn to donkey, and then but the 4th
apparently you have to kill somebody and frame their husband to get back, though.
So if this happens, you had better hope that you're somewhere near an adulterous couple.
Exactly.
Yeah, and doing the deed.
Yeah.
I see. It all becomes clear to me now. So where do I convert to this brilliant belief system?
Miami, Florida, apparently.
Okay, well, I'll book my ticket right away. Okay, well, that was fun. Boy, what do you add to that?
That not much you can add to it.
Okay, well, interesting. Well, maybe some callers will have something to chime in on that subject with. But 477-2288, that number to call us up live. And before we get to our first caller, we've got some folks getting lined up. Just saw there's a serious news item in the week in this week, and we've actually talked about it a little bit about it on the mailing list, and that is that the intelligent design crowd is sort of at it again. Even though they kind of had their butts handed to them here in Texas.
Yeah. With the textbooks here.
Right. But, of course, that doesn't stop them. And now what they're doing in Missouri, Missouri is where they're all congregating now, and they're actually trying to pass a law. Okay. They're basically now trying to...
Oh, that's right.
They're trying to put a law into the books that says, teachers basically have to teach both of these. Okay. First off, there have to be consultants for education.
Okay.
Who are scientists sympathetic to intelligent design.
Why?
Well, because you have to because they want them there, damn it. And
but you can't legislate fact.
Well, they seem to think you can. Okay. See, that's the whole tricky thing about it.
Just because you don't like calculus.
I know.
You can't make laws that say calculus is too hard. Here's an easier way.
I know. You can't pass a law saying that pi equals 3. I know that, but they try all the same, right? And if a teacher doesn't give equal time to both, they want that teacher to be fired. Be fired, yeah. Right? So essentially, what they're trying to do in Missouri is pass a blasphemy law. Okay, that's not what they're calling it, but that is in effect what it is. And it's completely crazy, right? So, I'm sure that, the NCSC is going to get right on this, but I'm going to try to, contact some folks there that I was in contact with via email. back in September when we were doing the textbook hearings here. Okay. But it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. But that effectively what they're trying to do is just pass a blasphemy law is what it amounts to.
Yeah. Well, just the idea that you
can politicize science.
That you're trying to legislate what is being taught.
Right.
You're trying to say that, facts don't really matter. This is what we like. Who cares what the actual scientists have found? Who cares what the actual mathematicians have found? Let's just say that because I like this, then I can legislate it into being taught. Yeah. If you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and apparently they don't, you don't get a say.
Well, it's like a judge in, I think it was either New Mexico or Hawaii, where they had recently handed the ID crowd another defeat. Said one of the judges pointed out, if this stuff is scientifically valid, why do we need to have a law demanding that it be taught?
Exactly.
If it's scientifically valid, then it will get taught.
Exactly.
So why do we need a law to teach this stuff if it's right?
The reason it's not taught is because it's not bump.
Yeah. So that's where that's at. But that's interesting news item. We're gonna pay attention to that very closely and see how things are panning out in Missouri. So, but otherwise, all right. We are going to go ahead and get on with calls now. 477-2288 is our number to call us live. And hey, you're on the air. How you doing?
Hello.
Hi.
I want to comment on the nudists in Florida. Mm-hmm. How much is it going to cost us for the drapes when Ashcroft goes down there and puts them over top of them?
Well, we don't know, but we'd love to know. I mean, that's my first question. What does Ashcroft think of this? What does Jeb Bush think of this?
Yeah.
Pat Robertson, I want to get the 700 Club feedback on this thing. Yeah.
That's all I had to say.
Okay. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks. I remember a few years ago when Baylor started in the art department, art classes in Baylor started having the life models, the nude models for the life drawing classes, right? Which goes on, right? Everywhere, every college where they have life drawing, and they'll have a life drawing model come in, and people will sketch these nudes, and it's no big deal. But when they tried to do it at Baylor, it was just people there hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
They're like, we pray that the administration in the art department will see the error of their ways, and it's all, they just have it's nudity and sexuality, and it's something that fundamentalists really seem to have a pretty serious problem with.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Nudist colony gang they're not funnies in that regard.
Yeah.
But I love the spin they put on it, right? We're right with God.
Yeah.
So it's okay for us to walk around naked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because we're right with God.
Yeah.
So that's
all those fundies aren't right with God.
So, anyway, I don't want to see the pink-haired lady on TBN walking around with, and I just don't. I can't. It's not gonna. No. Hey, you're on the air.
Yes.
How you doing?
You know that movie, The Terminator? Well, didn't he walk around naked and
at first
he get away with it?
Well, until he found the guy that he could steal clothes from.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
plus, that was a movie.
Yeah. So.
Well, anyway, I just heard, just realized that all of a sudden. But and by the way, when you were talking about that earlier about that course in school, and what was the deal with that now?
Baylor had an art class, and some art classes have nude models come in, and our students will sketch.
No, I mean the one before that. It was physics or calculus or something like that.
Oh, talking about
forcing creationism to be.
They're basically trying to just pass a law now in Missouri saying you have to teach both the intelligent design and science, and if you
design.
and if teachers don't give equal time to both ideas, then they can lose their jobs, which effectively means that teachers can get fired for blasphemy, basically. Yeah, so don't think that's right.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. Take care. Okay, and 477-2288. All right. We didn't have an opportunity to talk about this over the actual season, but while we're here, always interesting to go back and talk about origins of celebrations and things, and why stuff is the way it is. And what is interesting about the Christmas holidays, because I was spoken last week on the show about how I saw this report on Faux News, how they were trying to they had, one of these phony manufactured controversies that they cough up every once in a while. But they were trying to put forth this idea that Christians are under attack from all sides in the media and what have you. And, which is crazy. But they started talking about, attacks on Christmas itself as an institution. Yeah. How, the holiday of Christmas is just, no one, wants to acknowledge it anymore, which seems strange to me because, there were a lot of people acknowledging Christmas.
Out there everywhere.
To me about 3 weeks ago. And Russell brought this, a post from a website called Grinch List.
Yes.
Where, which is put together by a bunch of Christians who think that, stores, retail outlets who use words like holidays instead of Christmas, it's all part of some conspiracy
to stamp out the Christians.
Exactly, which is nuts, right? But what's interesting is to talk about the actual celebration of this holiday and kind of some of the history behind it. We have apparently, let's see, it wasn't. It took a while for the actual holiday season to kick in because, of course, now it was already this time of year was the Yuletide ceremony, and it was actually rooted in pagan traditions that had gone on for centuries and centuries and centuries before that. But this is what was interesting, was that Eastern churches, which I guess became the Orthodox churches, they began to celebrate Christmas only after about the year 375. Okay, the church in Jerusalem didn't start celebrating Christmas until the 7th century. Ireland started in the 5th century. Austria, England, and Switzerland in the 8th century. And the Slavic countries didn't start celebrating Christmas until about the 9th and 10th centuries.
Well, a century later.
Yeah, which is in the Slavic lands, it's nearly an entire millennium after Jesus was supposed to have been crucified. So,
millennium.
But what was interesting, and of course many of the symbols and practices associated with Christmas are of pagan origin. You have the holly, the ivy, mistletoe, Yule log, and this sort of thing. Here's another little interesting bit of history that I think some folks aren't aware of. In Massachusetts, it says Puritans unsuccessfully tried to ban Christmas entirely during the 17th century because of its heathenism. So here you have a group of arch fundamentalists, right? Not evil secular retailers, who have an actual history of overtly trying to ban Christmas because of the pagan origins of it, the heathenism. The English Parliament abolished Christmas in 1647. And apparently the Jehovah's Witnesses do not acknowledge the Christmas holidays, or at least not in the way that mainstream Christians do. So it's kind of interesting to see, if there's an attack on the institution of Christmas as a holiday, it actually doesn't necessarily always come from, those godless damn liberals. But there's
the very Christians themselves.
Yeah, there's some fun history about. Of course, you can find more detailed information out there, but this is from the religiousTolerance.org website, talking about the earliest, the solstice celebrations and what have you. So it's kind of fun stuff to know. You have names yet? We've got collars blinking, but we're still getting names and figuring out who's who. So.
I also have that quote, which, again, I keep not having the time to look up or whatever. Mm-hmm. But again, it's in the Bible. It very explicitly says that, do not do as the heathens do and decorate your trees with gold and silver. And, it goes along the lines. It's so explicitly against anything that be considered a Christmas tree.
Right. But because that is for the reason that it was that those were the pagan traditions. It was a
pagan holiday,
that they didn't want to have adopted.
Yeah. Christianity just had to use those, because otherwise it wouldn't be accepted.
Right.
You kind of have to fit yourself in with what people are already doing, and what's already there. Yeah. To be accepted.
Right. Well, I mean, it was the Roman Empire which had become Christian in the 4th century, and so when it had, and that's when Christianity really began to kick in as a major political force, and so it was very easy to just take the holiday seasons that existed and just adapt them to the new faith.
Yeah.
So. But it's funny how many Christian fundamentalists I've spoken to who hold Halloween in complete disdain.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's this evil pagan ritual. It has all these pagan roots.
Yeah.
It's like, so does Christmas.
Satanism and...
Yeah. And their eyebrows always go up when I say, well, so does Christmas. Christmas is pagan in its, in its origins. They're like, so, but again, of course, the secularism of
Christmas is what they should be offended about.
Well, and again, a lot of Christians, I guess don't like the fact that it has become commercialized in the way that it has, but I don't see that is stopping them from going out and buying Christmas presents.
Yeah.
So,
and putting the Christmas lights up on their house and putting the Santa out and the snowman.
Taking their kids to the mall to sit on the mall Santa's lap and tell them what you want. So it's not really, I don't really see that it's, it's that big a deal to only the most, hardened of hardliners in terms of fundamentalism.
Yeah.
But even they, I suspect, probably put a tree up and put decorations up and put stockings up.
Yeah, most of them at least.
And buy gifts. So it does seem kind of hypocritical, because they would say, oh, no, this is, they shouldn't, it's horrible that Christmas has become so commercialized and so retail-oriented and so materialistic, and it's no longer about the season. It's like, well, then, okay, don't buy, then why are you buying presents?
Don't promote this stuff.
Well, either have a strictly religious Christmas. Yeah. But if you don't want to go to the malls, don't go to the malls. Don't buy presents.
Yeah.
Don't complain about the fact that you have to buy Christmas presents and then buy Christmas presents for people. So. Okay, so we're back on line 1 again with, hi, you're on the air.
Yes, I just want to let you know, did you know anything about death? Like somebody died or something like that?
People do die, yes.
Well, I have my mother's client. Mm-hmm. Her name is Dawn, and she has a grandfather passed away in '85.
Okay.
And her grandfather died in the sleep.
Okay.
Like sleep in peace or something like that.
Okay.
And I just want to let you know that I need your advice about whatever it is to feel better of my mother and me at the same time.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, are you asking how do people who don't believe in gods or an afterlife confront issues like death?
Something like that. Because my mother and I went to church all the time. Yeah. And I'm a Christian.
Right.
And
well, if you're a Christian, you should have faith in God and and heaven and the afterlife to see you through it. If you're a Christian.
Yeah, but
right. But
I'm talking about Don and Don's grandmother, because
are they
Don
Christians?
And grandmother at the same time, the grandfather and the husband of her grandmother and the wife at the same time. Well, those two people is kind of down because of it.
Well, are those people Christians?
No, I don't know. They never go to church or anything.
Right. Well, what I would do, the first thing I would do is ask them, what their beliefs might be.
Okay.
Ask them if do they believe in God? Do they believe in an afterlife? Or are they spiritual? And if they're not, if they don't believe in God, generally speaking, the respectful thing to do would not be to, if they're grieving, if they're having a death they're trying to get over, the respectful thing to do would not be, while they're sad and in grief, trying to push that idea on them. Usually, what I tell people is, look, if someone that dies, as long as you remember them, right?
Well, yeah,
they're still there.
I got some kind of memories of them because I have a big jar of sugar ones. That's a memory of me, and I'm keeping eating them and eating them and eating them and getting the memories of it.
Okay, all right.
So
I'm not quite sure what you mean.
My mother doesn't like me to do that.
Okay, all right.
So that's why I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to them. Like on the weekdays, I'm going to Arsenal on the weekdays. Okay. But I'm coming back home and doing it, and then I'm gonna ask them. Thanks a lot, you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. Okay. Well. Okay. So let's see. Paul on the only two. Hi, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, you guys?
We're okay. What's up?
Not a whole lot. I was just sitting watching you guys' program, and sorry about that last question. It was kind of horrible. Anyway, I was curious about I had a question about a higher power versus God in the atheist community, and how exactly do people in the atheist community, if you're a firm believing atheist, compare any sort of like human power or anything, higher power, toward God, which I know that isn't in existence in atheism, but compare things that are somewhat something that happens or feelings that humans have that are indescribable, such as possible true love or things that we find that define us as humans as opposed to other creatures. So I was curious on your guys' take on higher powers versus God, and if that even exists in the atheist community.
Interesting question. Do you want to start, Ash?
One hard thing to deal with on that is exactly what is the kind of definition of a higher power. I assume what you're talking about is some kind of higher force. Again, sort of like a god, but not quite, as opposed to, really powerful aliens, which, could exist theoretically, but again, they're so far removed from anything that you would consider a god. If we did find out in 10 years or 1,000 years that there's an incredible alien race that can create universes, well, that's pretty nifty, pretty cool. Let's try and, work with them, but I'm not going to worship them. In terms of a higher power, going back to what you did say about strong feelings, true love, and whatnot, those obviously exist. And I don't think it requires any kind of a higher power to explain those. We get feelings like that because they're beneficial to us. It alters our behavior in certain ways that, we benefit from that. Being more devoted to people, we will protect them. It will, better pass on our genes, whatnot. Again, a higher power, I guess I'd need a little bit more of a definition to specifically.
I guess I was just trying to explain to things that humans, and I wouldn't, I guess, things that we somewhat define ourselves by, and the sort of feelings that we have that we feel like exclude us from other types of animals just because they are not either vocal or, have some sort of, communication method that we understand. So I was just trying to figure out, the atheist take, like, is it just us, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, every species has its own special thing that makes it. Okay. For us, it's brain power. We have big brains and we can, do a lot of stuff like that. Other animals have different capabilities in different areas. Of course, we're going to look at ours and say, well, ours is, the best or we're the brightest.
That we know of.
Exactly, that we know of at least. But that doesn't necessarily make it, again, we found our niche.
Yeah, I would hesitate to refer to what we're talking about is reason. Okay. And of course, atheists, generally speaking, have a great deal of respect for reason. We think that is what people should rely upon in life to make decisions, to make informed decisions. I would stop short of calling it a higher power simply because, since it comes from us and we are fallible beings, then reason, it stands to reason, is fallible too, right? I mean, we could make perfectly reasoned decisions about things, but we could be working from erroneous information and not be aware that our information is erroneous. And we'd still be making decisions about things, but we're using the information that we have to make those decisions, which is all anyone can do. If down the road we actually get more accurate information, then we can make an even better reasoned decision about the thing that we're trying to make a decision about. So the best people can do, I think, is use the knowledge that you have, use the experience that you have in life, and apply reason to more or less all of your endeavors. Now, if you want to talk about things like true love and happiness and states like that, well, now, of course, those are emotional responses, which are, I don't think they're mutually exclusive things, reason and emotion. I think that, they do have a bearing on one another. But again, emotional health is, one's emotional reactions to things are an indicator of our relationship not only to the other people in our lives, to our environment, just to what's going on in our lives at that time. If if our job is successful, or if we've just been laid off, or if our marriage is really working out, or if our marriage is on the rocks, or whatever could be going on in life. If you have a new baby, or if a parent is dying. Your emotional responses to things are an indicator of just where you are and what you're doing.
So you're saying basically the responses that we have toward life based on reason.
But they're not,
that's what you're saying.
Yeah, but again, I don't think emotions are necessarily any sort of indicator of a higher power or anything outside of us because of course, animal species have emotional responses to things. Your dog will be happy or sad depending on what's going on. It's just that we as human beings do it to a different degree and we do it in a different way. And as Ashley indicated, every species has a little bit of something that makes it unique unto itself. And, our genes get us where we are, and then we sort of take the ball and run with it from that point. But I think that ultimately, it's how you think and the decisions that you make and how you apply reason to just your life in general. I think that's what atheists think that folks in general ought to strive for.
Great.
But that's not a hard and fast dogma, of course. Because some atheists might disagree with me.
Sure.
So, but that's kind of where it is. I've had discussions with religious people where they have criticized me because they claim that I think I'm God, or I think my intellect is God, or I don't think that there's anything higher or greater than myself. And that's a straw man. That's completely erroneous. First off, I don't think that I'm God, or that my intellect is God, or that my reason is God, because atheists don't think that the concept of God is valid to apply to anything. That's a misnomer. And in terms of there being greater things than myself, well, of course there are things that are greater than myself. The weather is a thing that's greater than myself. I can't control when it rains on me. There are all sorts of things that are bigger and larger than myself as a whole, but I don't think that's an indication of any sort of supernatural or spiritual realm or realm beyond what we know. It's just, nature has a pecking order, and you're in it where you're in it, and you can go up or down depending on the decisions and the choices that you make. And
so what you're saying is the atheism in itself is not based in just like pure humanism, almost like in the sense.
No. All that the term atheist,
one all be all type of creatures that somehow exist in their own. Their brains are what keep them,
it's important to remember the term atheism only refers to the fact that a person doesn't believe in any gods.
Yeah.
Now, not all atheists would call themselves humanists.
Okay.
I've met some atheists who say, well, I don't think I'm a humanist. I've known some atheists who are into just other philosophies, objectivism and or what have you, and libertarianism, ideas that I don't agree with.
Do you find yourself falling in the humanism category? Or
I would define myself as a humanist, yes.
Okay.
But now that's not... that humanism should not be mistaken as this attitude that humans are better than everything.
Could you define humanism for me or for the audience?
Humanism is a philosophy that is rooted in respect for reason and human dignity, equality, just basic rights like the right to be educated, the right to, that people should be fed and clothed, and everyone should be treated with respect and kindness, and that the human race has to. We've got to come together and work our problems out and rely upon one another and take care of one another. And that it is rational to be ethical and moral. Morality is essentially rational behavior. And that's beneficial and it is beneficial to all of us to be that way. So, there's a long list of, if you, I don't like the idea of manifestos, but the Council for Secular Humanism did come up with something that they call the Humanist Manifesto. But it's simply, that's a convenient title. It's basically a statement of principles, and there's that just reflects ideas about human rights and essentially what I just described to you. And there's a magazine that they put out bi-monthly called Free Inquiry, which is worth picking up, and they usually print that on the inside cover. Just all the ideas. What do humanists think? What is the humanist point of view just on life, the universe, and everything?
Would you? This will be my last question. I'll let you guys go.
Sure.
I was just, are most atheists based in humanism, or would you think that that most of them believe in humanism. You do, obviously, and I was just curious, in your experience, is it most atheists believe in that? Or
since I haven't met most atheists, the only thing I can say is that a good number of the atheists a good number of the atheists that I have met probably would think of themselves as humanists, but not all of them. Ashley, what about you? Yeah. Are you a humanist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks a lot, you guys. Have a great day.
Appreciate your call. Call back anytime, okay?
All right, bye-bye.
Take care. It's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely not across the board, and as Martin said, atheism simply means lack of belief in a God. That leaves the playing field wide open for anything else, anything from complete humanism all the way to I believe in Buddhism, and if you meditate enough, then you can transcend to a higher level of consciousness.
Yeah, Buddhism is an atheist religion.
Technically, that doesn't necessarily require a God. Psychic powers don't necessarily require a God. You can be an atheist and believe in psychic and telekinesis powers. Pretty uncommon. Yeah, doesn't happen very often. But it doesn't conflict.
Those wingnuts, the Raelians,
exactly,
are technically atheists. Right, because they think that we were all, bred by aliens who had nothing better to do. So, all you have to do to be an atheist is not believe in any deities. But generally speaking, I think most people who would
most people who
use the word atheist unabashedly to refer to themselves would not be. I mean, a Buddhist is going to call himself a Buddhist. Yeah. A Raelian is going to call himself a Raelian. A spiritual person who doesn't believe in any gods is still going to call themselves spiritual. Yeah.
Atheism typically, and kind of unfortunately, is a catch-all bucket. As in, I'm not a Raelian, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Buddhist, so I don't really think there's a God out there because, dude, I got better things to do on Sunday. Therefore, I'm an atheist. That is, again, a pretty weak position because it's just, well, I'm not anything else, so I guess I'm an atheist.
And that's why there has been so much confusion about the nuns, right? That the 14% of people on the ARIS survey, the Religious Identification Survey, what religion? What religion? None, right? 14% of, and so some people in the atheist community nationwide kind of, prematurely leapt on that and said, oh, well, that means that 14% of Americans are atheist, right? Well, no. I mean, a lot of the folks among that 14% are just sort of on the fence, don't know, don't care. Now, I would say that there are a lot of folks who don't overtly identify themselves as atheists who still are atheists practically, but they're scared of the A word.
Yes,
and now that's very much a fact. A lot of people say, for one thing, they'll try to use the word agnostic, not understanding that there is a distinct. There's a distinction to be made between what an agnostic is.
You can be and probably are both.
Some people think that agnostic is just like a person who's entirely neutral in all regards, and that's not strictly speaking the case. If a person, for all intents and purposes, just doesn't believe in any gods, then that makes them an atheist, whether they
like the term
are comfortable using the A word or not. And a lot of people aren't comfortable using the A word because they're afraid of backlash from the Christian community.
Of course.
And that's why this whole stupid Bright movement came about, right? The Brights.
Yes.
Which I think
I don't like the term at all.
It's the cheesiest damn thing, right? But but some guys have leapt on. It's just James Randi is into it, and Daniel Dennett and Mike Shermer and all these guys are out there trying to push the word bright as some sort of euphemism for atheism, atheist and rationalist and what have you. But most atheists are just like on that. So. Anyway, Matt has been holding for a while, so we'll. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey guys,
what's going on?
No, not a whole lot. It's kind of weird that you just mentioned the Raelians, because I talked to you about the Raelians like a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
But I was going to bring up the topic of Freemasonry. Do you guys think it's a religion? Because I've been told by a Freemason that it is a religion, and I suspect that, it doesn't really matter what I believe, but I think that the ones at the top are really Luciferian, and it does come from Albert Pike's own writings, who was a 33rd degree Mason, and he headed the whole southern jurisdiction of Masons.
Yeah.
And he said it is the light of Lucifer.
I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah, that was them censoring right now.
The Illuminati are onto you.
That was insane.
Because
what I was saying was that it's Albert Pike the master Mason who was in charge of the whole southern jurisdiction of Masonry during the Civil War, who said that it is the light of Lucifer that you are seeking, because if you talk to Masons, if they will tell you what goes on in the lodge, they will tell you that you're seeking the light. I've got a book in front of me right here that's from 1927. It's a reprint from like 54, and it has all the rituals in it, and there's stuff in it, like it says right here that anyone can come into Masonry under any religion. All you have to do is believe in a supreme architect of the universe, which is what they call God.
Yeah, I know about that. I know about the whole, and I think that there is this triune sort of deity that is this mixture of Jehovah and Baal and another one. Osiris, that's it.
Wow.
And it's this strange, it's this melting
name of God.
Yeah, it's this.
That is the true God.
Which is how these secret societies kind of proliferate themselves, right? Is they offer you, they tantalize you with, okay, we've got all this secret knowledge, and as you rise in the ranks.
In the lodge, and the Bible in the lodge has a compass and a square placed on top of it. It is the furniture of the lodge.
Right.
It is a symbol for the law of. If you believe in Satan and if you believe Satan gave us the knowledge, then the compass and the square represent that knowledge, and it's placed right on top of the Bible.
Interesting.
As it's a symbol of man's knowledge and Satan's knowledge being over God's knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's like, it doesn't matter what I believe that is, but it's like Albert Pike himself says that the lower Masons, the first 3 degrees, are intentionally misled about what the symbols mean.
That's interesting.
And that their true meaning, it's all about...
So they're in too deep before they can, when they realize... what is fascinating about the Freemasonry, I don't know that they wield quite the influence in society that they used to, but there was
the 32nd degree Mason.
Yeah, there was a time, right, when just about, every senator, every U.S. president, all of the major industrialists, the Freemasonry was...
Constitution.
Yeah, it was the way to get ahead, right?
But, you got to keep in mind that when they founded this country, the Masons that founded this country were okay with the institution of slavery. That was one of the economic factors. That was a socio-economic. It's part of history.
Very much so.
It's just I've been researching Egypt and all this stuff and trying to get into the Sumerian stuff too and find out who do they, if it's Yahweh, if their God, if they claim to know the truth, and their God is a combination of Yahweh, Baal, which was from Babylon, and Osiris from Egypt, then their religion is an amalgamation of like the history contained in any literature about that, or any of those ancient mystery religions, or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
And they also, I know they use all the books. They research every religion. It's like, I want to know that, and that's what a Mason told me, that it's not. It is a religion. And that it's not about ancient secret knowledge, it's about history. Right. That's what he told me personally.
That's interesting.
And they wanted me to join and stuff too.
Wow.
They're looking for people.
It makes, when you think about it, it's interesting that they would do that, because you would think, because one way of, the easiest way to become very, very big and very, very powerful in the world, if you want to be like a political mover and shaker, right? Is to spread yourself out in such a way so that you have a little bit of something to appeal to every group. And so if Freemasonry had simply been a Christian tradition, then it would not necessarily have had the ability to become what it did become, possibly, because
you're right.
What's it got to offer that the Vatican hasn't got to offer, right? Or just existing church hierarchies. What they managed to do was they brought in all of these other traditions, and in so doing, right, they were able, I guess, to get across the idea that there were more things that you could find out about life, the universe, and everything by being a Freemason, and thus more influence that you could wield upon the world, more so than just being a church leader. And it is interesting. I don't know. Maybe you know a little more about this. I don't know exactly how far back Freemasonry goes.
That's yeah.
But I mean, the actual
yeah. Some of them claim it goes back to Egypt.
Yeah.
Some of them will say like the Knights Templar.
The Knights Templar is the most common that I've heard.
Yeah.
But you know, there every once in a while you get these kinds of spiritualist movements, right? Like when you had Theosophy about 100 years ago, which caught on, and it was the same sort of thing, right? It wasn't like, you know, it didn't become what Freemasonry became, but it was very, very attractive because it was all about you know, there was in society there was this malaise, there was this disillusionment with the industrial world, and you know, people were uncomfortable with science because science was threatening traditional beliefs and what have you. And then along comes Theosophy, which says, oh, well, there are all these ancient secrets that you can be privy to, and you can return to your roots and return to nature through this movement. And a lot of people got into this. And then Theosophy, quite scarily enough, was actually a big influence upon it was the spiritualist movement in Europe that ultimately turned into that influenced Nazism.
Yeah.
So that was really kind of scary. So you get these kinds of, you know, these things sort of happen. You know, it's like a pendulum. You know, the society gets more spiritual and then less and then more. But I guess Freemasonry's been around long enough that it's, you know, it's just been this institution into itself. But interesting to study up on what those folks are up to. And like I said, I don't know that it's necessarily as powerful as it was, you know, like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. I mean, is you know, are the Bushes Masons and
possibly Skull and Bones, which is supposedly it is related to the Bavarian Illuminati, which is kind of exactly what you were just talking about.
Yeah, these so-called secret society
but
guys.
It all kind of ties into bloodlines. You see, they wanted to recruit me specifically because I'm related to Masons. Like famous Masons. Like the guy, when I told him who I was related to, he said, "You don't look like him." And it's a figure in history that isn't like, it's kind of, you know, he's just a general from the Civil War. I'm not related to Pike. I'm just related to, you know, one of the Masons from the Civil War.
Right.
And, you know, it's like they wanted me because I was in the bloodlines. Because it's all white guys. Yeah. And if I was a Mason and I got on here and told you guys all this stuff that I just told you, I would have taken an oath where they could kill me.
Yeah, have your tongue cut out and all the rest of it.
And that's fact. Yeah.
Hiram Abif, the martyr or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we got to go on to our next caller, but we appreciate all the information. Call us back anytime, okay?
All right. Thanks.
Do that. Thanks. Just wanted to add, right, now that I know that there are some folks going along, and you know, there is, we all know about the paranoid conspiracy theory crowd, and who are, I'm not saying Matt is one of those guys, I don't think he is, but there are some folks who think that there are these secret societies out there, and they're wielding all of and behind the scenes, they're manipulating the world.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, there may be these groups hanging out thinking that they do that, but really, I don't think, you know, if there's the whole idea that if you know anything at all about geopolitics and economics and what have you.
No group is that organized.
Yeah, the whole idea that there's this one group of, you know, like in the X-Men, you know, not X-Men, X-Files.
Yeah.
Different X. You know, they sit in this smoke-filled room, you know, drinking their port and you know, talking on their cell phones and, you know, and manipulating governments and what have you. This little cadre of, you know, fat middle-aged white guys, you know, secretly ruling the world. I mean, no. The only thing that, I mean, it's money and money flows, and that's all that controls anything, right? Money just... and nobody can control that, right? It's just money doing what money does. You know, once it's out once the toothpaste is out of the tube, you know, I mean, it's, you know, there's no getting, you know, that's pretty much money. We appear to have this has really kicked in a whole big discussion thread. So we'll, Josh, hi.
How's it going?
Just fine. You wanted to follow up on the previous caller?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to let y'all in on a little something. Well, what the Masons pretty much perceived the nations like America and the United Kingdom is the Goy nations, the nations of the Goyim. And there's a whole terminology within...
Are you saying they're anti-Semitic?
How what would you derive as being anti-Semitic?
Oh, I thought isn't Goyim? Well, no, that wouldn't be. That's right. Well, I mean, Goyim is that's Jewish, but no. Okay. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that could be perceived as anti-Semitic, but that the Jews of, I guess you could say, the Marxist movement were pretty much Freemasons themselves, and international communism it's not a good idea. It's supposed to be that, they say it's going to overthrow the international bankers, but it's really using international communism for the international bankers to throw over the...
yeah. Well, we've seen how well international communism has gone over. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of, it's on its... it's on its dying legs. I mean, even mainland China is trying to bring in, I mean, they're keeping their communist government, but they're trying to bring in as many commercial interests as they can. Well,
Well, one of the points I'd like to make to y'all just about, I mean, that's all just null and void. You can look at it at any point, any religious point, but, the Freemasons were a lot of scientific theologists. They believed a lot of scientific theory and would use those to... for their, instate their ideas into the colleges and different things like that. It's just, but on another point, it may be null and void because, like you said, some people do believe it, but it could be out there. But I took acid and found that God really exists, and I know that the bald guy takes a lot of acid too.
Well, you sound like you're a perfect candidate for the Freemasons. So, you gotta join right up.
Yeah, screw with your brain chemistry, strange things happen.
Right. Okay, well, this should be an interesting call. Tim.
Yeah, I'm a Freemason.
You are a Freemason.
Under mine.
You are a Freemason.
I am a Freemason.
So would you like to clarify?
What are you thinking about? What is Freemasonry to you?
Freemasonry actually, it's not. I mean, we're not really that interested in it. Our caller called up and had some opinions about it. So maybe you could
educate us.
Offer an opinion on what he had to say.
Offer an opinion on what the previous caller had to say regarding Freemasonry. He sounds like he has a very specific and individual opinion, which I've heard before. It's common. Conspiracy theory, common things. If it goes on behind doors in a confessional society,
right?
Then therefore we need to know exactly what you're doing. And
these whole secret masters of the world thing.
What the concern is.
Yeah, I tried to tell the caller. I think that Freemasonry really, right? It's just like now it's successfast businessmen it's sort of it's a fraternal brotherhood and it's people who it's a way to make connections and network. Lisa, that seems to my understanding is that that's kind of how Freemasonry is now. It may have been more of an influence on governments a century ago. But this whole idea that it's this threatening secret society out there looking to manipulate the world with demonic beliefs and what have you, I certainly I don't really give a whole lot of credence to that. But what about this? What about his opinion that Freemasonry is this religion that has strange Luciferian connotations? Is that completely out of left field or?
Oh yeah, actually it is. It's way out of the ballpark, as a matter of fact.
What about like the triune deity and the is there the Osiris and Jehovah and Baal?
There's the potential for it should you be an individual that believes so.
Okay, but this is not...
Freemasonry is pantheistic and ecumenical.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Freemasonry, for example, they have what they call the VSL, or Volume of Sacred Law. That is not necessarily a Holy Bible, a Torah, nor is it possibly the Upanishads, nor is it possibly any of these things. It is what you believe.
Okay.
And that would be placed upon the table. And you would take your oath based upon your beliefs.
All right.
That being the case, as you can see, it's extremely diverse and it's international. There's approximately 6 million, probably about as many Jews that are left on the earth that are still in the fraternal order, and it's actually passing because allegory, narrative is passing itself. As a matter of fact, the aesthetic is passing, and as a matter of fact, the arts have been dying too. And I would say that Freemasonry is going through a period of a slump. It has been for some time. But we like it that way. we like it because it is a tight-knit group. And I'll just correct you real quick, and I'm sure you didn't mean this in a sense of a generalization, you just slipped it in. You mentioned successful businessmen are Freemasons. Freemasons are potentially anyone.
Potentially anyone, right.
Yeah.
But I remember that it was again, back some history that I've read, right? Back at least 100 years ago, right? It was the case that Freemasonry was a way to get ahead, and it opened doors, and you were able to make, meet and make connections and that sort of thing. That was a benefit of being a Mason, right? Was that it was a path to success for a lot of ambitious men.
Okay, and I've read that history too, and it's probably true.
Yeah, I mean, again, a way to network, and
yeah, it is a way to network.
Right.
It's a way to network with people. But what's unique about Lodge, you need to understand. When I go to Lodge, and one of the things that we are to do when we enter Lodge,
right,
to leave our politics at the door.
All right.
We leave our politics at the door. We also we leave our religion at the door, if we so have one.
Right, right.
And that becomes very important. That puts us, as we say, on the level with each other.
Right.
Basically coming out of the Enlightenment, and a motto of Freemasonry, order out of chaos. Logic and reason becomes the main premise of Freemasonry. If I say to you that I am a deist and that there is a logical order and design to the universe, I have not said to you that I actually believe in a God that is a benevolent God. I have said to you a conceptual statement.
Okay.
So therefore, if I said to you, you must believe in a supreme being to enter Lodge, you also might have a supreme state of being. This is a very flexible definition.
Okay. So
we have Mormons, we have Jews, we have Christians, we have Hindus, we have Buddhists, we have Islam. You could be on a flight with an Islamic who is a Freemason.
Interesting.
So from what I'm gathering, Freemasonry isn't exactly a religion. It's more of a...
In taxonomies, I'll say it for you. It's classified as a societal institution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much like psychoanalysis, much like linguistics, much like Boy Scouts, much like Girl Scouts.
It's like a fraternity in some ways.
That we are just a fraternity.
Yeah.
It's a philanthropy.
Do they do the thing anymore where you have to take the secret oath
there are no secret
upon
oaths.
threat of death or what have you?
There are no secret oaths. There is only allegory.
Okay.
Allegory is simply the beauty, the aesthetic. Freemasonry is superficial. And as the Supreme Court designated about a belief in God, it is only ceremonial. That is all.
Well,
only ceremonial, after all. If it went with any more depth from a more superficial aesthetic treatment, aesthetic is a word derived from the cosmetic 13th century.
Right.
So keeping in mind our linguistics, our etymology, one has to remember that this is a superficial treatment. It's beautiful. It's aesthetic. It's ritual.
I see.
And in order for this ritual to have some sort of initiatory impact when you come in, that's why we do it, to have behind closed doors for the effect.
All right. Well, listen.
Interesting.
We appreciate your input too, and thanks a lot for giving us, giving some feedback on that. Right. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to say their piece here. But we're going to go ahead and go on to our next caller in our last few minutes of the show. Okay.
Okay.
So thanks a lot, Tim. Take care. You too.
Bye-bye.
And of course, we can see through all of that. We know he's actually running the world.
Yeah. Now, I didn't want to be rude, but at a certain point, we were happy to have had given Tim the opportunity to correct any misrepresentations that he felt the earlier caller might have made about Freemasonry. But I wanted to stop it before he started, really advertising the group, because that's not what our show is for.
But no, it's definitely interesting to find out, from someone who's in it to at least find out a bit more about what it actually is, instead of the Illuminati.
That's you know what. The Freemasons can get a producer's license here and have the Hour of Freemasonry on Austin Cable Access, and you can tell folks everything they would want to know about Freemasonry on that. That could help them out. All right. Okay, but we want to get back on topic now. And we have Milton on line one who's been holding. Hi, thanks for holding.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, the person that founded Theosophy in America in 1879 was Cortes, who was the forebearer to the Nazi movement 43 years later in post-World War I Germany.
Right.
The problem with Theosophy is its religious encouragement of faggotry.
Oh, well, dude. Boy. Well, anyway, no, actually, to keep it on topic, Blavatsky, Helena Blavatsky, was essentially this charlatan who wrote a big book about, how she supposedly went to Tibet and got all these secrets, from the secret masters who live underground in some caves, I guess, and secret knowledge of the universe. And and she wrote this book in which she made up this whole sort of alternate human evolution, right? Okay. Which is the human race went through 7 root races. Okay. And one of the root races of humanity were the Aryans. Okay. And the Aryans were the purest of all races. Okay. And and they were also like the Hyperboreans who lived or the Lemurians, I think, were one. And they lived in Atlantis. Yeah. And their civilization declined because they mated with subhumans. Okay. But
as opposed to another alien race which had a huge war with them.
I remember that guy. My goodness. But it was all of this occult, bizarre kookiness, right? That really was very appealing to the Nazis, especially guys like Himmler. Yeah. Who sort of based the whole SS on again being this secret society that had all these strange mystical rituals, right? Yeah. So very, 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 very weird. But anyway, okay. We got 14 minutes in the program. 477-2288 is the. Didn't expect to get on a Freemasonry thread. That was interesting. But I've never been really all that sure if Freemasonry, required some sort of interesting religious commitment, or was a religion itself, or if it was just a group of men having this brotherhood, social thing, where you get to sit around and smoke cigars and talk about stuff, right? But I know that it is all kind of tied into this kind of the people who fear these groups are among the PCT crowd. Yeah. Yeah. Who want to think that everything's a conspiracy and that they're all lurking behind the scenes, and it's strange to me. I've tried to think about what could be at the root of those beliefs, why people would develop those ideas, that there are all these little secret groups huddling in darkened rooms. Well, and for some reason they can't think of anything better to do than control us, because for some reason that's beneficial to them somehow.
It's a good and easy scapegoat. It's easy to try and blame those people for everything that's gone wrong in your life and not have up with anything because they're so secret. You can't define them. You can't pin them down.
So it's basically it's an easy boogeyman for anything that's wrong in the world. Is that kind of it?
That would seem to be the case.
Yeah. Also, I think that a lot of what's behind paranoid conspiracy belief is that for the people who hold those beliefs, they feel empowered by them.
Oh, yeah.
It's a way to feel really important.
Yeah, because they know something that nobody else does. Yeah. And I've found it out.
And if they knew that I knew this, they'd come after me. So I'm dangerous to the people in power.
I'm important in the world now.
The secret people in power, I'm dangerous to them. Yeah. And so, if they knew that I knew, they're tapping my phone.
Exactly.
And they've got mics in my, toothbrush and, recording me and my television's bugged. My television's watching me. So, wow. Very, very strange. And there seems to be a lot of it about. So, okay. Enough of that. Okay. On to our last couple of callers while we still have some time on the air. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, it's Matt again. I wanted to point out that guy did not, he did not tell you that the three-headed God was not the God of Freemasonry. He said it was whatever you want it to be. But I told you that the lower initiates, the entered apprentices, the ones in the first 3 degrees out of like 33 degrees, they are intentionally misled to think they know what Masonry is about.
Right. Well, look, I don't want to get into a big, there's going to be a shouting match between you and the other caller going to call back and forth and argue about what Freemasonry is. But I understand.
I told you it was a religion, and he didn't deny that it was a religion.
Well, he said that what he said was Freemasonry itself was not a religion, although it welcomes many different religious traditions and makes provisions for all of them. Now again, you have to understand, we don't care, right? I mean, this is the atheist experience, and we're here to talk about whether it's a good idea to believe in gods or not, and why we don't. And I understand that you think that it's pertinent in the sense that there is a religious element to Freemasonry, And I don't know. I mean, maybe you think that Freemasons are somehow threatening or something, and that's fine. But I think we've kind of been down this road, and I'd say in the end, I think that perhaps you ought to, start having these debates with the Freemasons. But okay, Matt. So we're gonna go ahead and let you go. But call us back anytime. Okay.
Thanks.
Take care. I mean, it's
the
not really
experience. We can't support the.
I mean, we could just go back and forth with Matt calling and then Tim calling back and refuting Matt, and that's that's not what it's all about. Okay, so we know that that it is a controversial thing, Freemasonry. But we're going to go ahead and move on. All right.
Anyone who happens to believe in space pixies is just plain wrong. Freemasons, Christians, whatever.
Back to here's some more interesting origins stuff here. Here's about this early hints of the getting back to ancient traditions and things like this, leading up to modern traditions. You had here's a little something more about the winter solstice celebrations, which again inspired Christianity, and then another. By the 3rd century, there were a number of religions and spiritual mysteries being followed within the Roman Empire. Many, if not most, celebrated the birth of their god-man near the time of the solstice, and this is true. I mean, with Mithra. Yeah. Which is one of the belief systems that is considered a direct precursor to Christianity, or one of many that it borrowed some traditions from. Emperor Aurelian from the 3rd century blended a number of pagan solstice celebrations of the nativity of such god-men saviors as Apollo, Attis, Baal, Dionysius, Helios, Hercules, Horus, Mithra, Osiris, Perseus, and Theseus into a single festival called the Birthday of the Unconquered Sun on December 25th. At the time, Mithraism and Christianity were fierce competitors. Aurelian had even declared Mithraism the official religion of the Roman Empire in 274 CE. Now, this is before, of course, Constantine came along. But and then Christianity eventually won the day with Constantine. But to study the past and to study the history of how these belief systems came about, it's very interesting. Certainly in contrast to the caller that we got a couple weeks ago, where you had the guy basically claiming that the Bible was 8,000 years of perfect history. Well, probably not, because the Bible has its own history. Yeah. That's not in the Bible. Yeah. That's fascinating. All right, folks, we got 8 minutes left, so if you want to call us up, talk about some stuff, go ahead. There's still time. Just here for a few more announcements still before the end of the program. Don't forget the Non-Profits, which is every other Saturday on the Internet. That's our bi-weekly Internet audio show that plays at the atheistnetwork.com website. And it is a live MP3 stream. And you can interact with the chat room, and the next episode of that will be this coming Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. at atheistnetwork.com. And getting lots and lots of listeners. Last week, we had more listeners than that we knew of. We say we. I was just a guest on that show.
Yeah, I heard it was a really good show. I listened to about the first hour of it or so, just before you got into the amicus brief thing. Yeah. And I didn't listen to that yet, but... Yeah. But yeah,
it's pretty interesting. Jeff is going to come on the show and talk a bit about that, because that's some pretty pertinent stuff about the Pledge of Allegiance case. Okay. Excellent. Okay, get on to... Hi, Edward. You're on the line. How you doing?
Hi, guys. Just wondering if you guys have seen the movie Hell House.
The Halloween thing.
That's right.
The documentary. Yeah. Yes, I did. And we went to the one that was here.
In Austin.
A year or so ago.
Yeah. It's a fascinating movie. If you might want to explain to the listeners, but I did want to comment. One of the girls on the video states that her belief was that Jesus was going to return, and when he returned, he would return he would come for a wife. I just wondered what are they teaching these kids in these churches?
and did she think that she might be the...
That's what I was wondering.
Number one candidate.
I was in your Hell House.
Yeah. That's interesting. I haven't heard anything quite like that. I mean, because it sounds like that was maybe where she was going with that. Yeah. She might get to be Mrs. Jesus. I remember a friend of mine and a girl I knew in college. She said that when she went to a Catholic school. And they had this poster of Jesus up on the wall, which I guess is the traditional, where he's got the beard, and long blonde hair, flowing hair, and and holding the lamb or what have you. And she said she got in trouble with one of the nuns because she said Jesus was hot. So, but yeah, I have seen the documentary. What it is, folks, is it's there are these Christian haunted houses that they hold during Halloween that they say are the alternative to like traditional haunted houses that have ghosts and witches and and pumpkins and stuff going boo. And these are. And what's offensive about them is they build themselves actually as reality houses. Yeah. But it's this incredibly warped reality because it's this reality in which, husbands are always beating up moms and, girls are getting abortions all over the place and,
reenacting the Columbine shooting.
Yeah, and that's a big one, of course. Yeah. That's, and I think we had a rave at the one we went to where somebody like did too much X and passed out. And, of course, we had to stand around through 20 minutes of the rave before they
actually remembered to take the drugs.
Yeah, the girl who was supposed to be the one to pass out and die on the dance floor, I guess missed her cue, and so we're like.
I know. Are we just saying that raves are really bad here? For the longest time, I didn't get it.
But again, it's this very, very strange, extremely exploitive, fear-mongering way to kind of scare people into converting. And I can't imagine who it works on, but I guess it works on some people. But that's interesting. I remember the bit about the girl, and you're thinking, huh? So that's what she wants out of all this, huh? But thanks a lot. Thanks for anything else?
No, that's all.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Sean.
That's pretty funny. Okay, I think it's going to be the last caller of the show. Hi, you're on the air. How you doing?
Hi, is this me?
Rick, yes. Hi.
Hi, I'm Rick, yeah. I'm calling because I've been a fan of the show for a long time, and and there's one thing that's kind of bothered me, and you spent a lot of time on it today, and I've touched on it a little bit in the past, and that is the way you guys kind of dismiss the so-called conspiracy theories as if it's just a bunch of nonsense that has no basis in fact, and that part of being an atheist is to completely dismiss any notion of secrecy in government or powerful elites deliberately misleading the public.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing this up.
Go ahead. You guys haven't researched this, and yet you're commenting on it as if you have.
Well, I have actually read up. I'm probably not as well read as some of like the leading figures in the conspiracy movement, but I have read up a bit on what some of these folks think, and what the Illuminati are supposed to do, and other Skull and Bones and other secret societies and what have you. I do not dismiss outright the notion that powerful people conspire to do things. Okay,
right.
I mean, because hello, Iraq War, right? We just had a big one, and it's pretty much all coming out now that. Long before 9/11, I mean, pretty much within weeks of the Bush administration getting into office, they were trying to set the wheels in motion to launch this war and get Saddam Hussein out of power and find ways to justify it to the American public. So, yeah, it is true that there are powerful people in politics who do sneaky stuff and secret stuff and try to hide it. What I disagree with about the people that we call the paranoid conspiracy theorists, right, is that they sort of take that to this next level. A lot of them do, where it's all a big conspiracy, and it's like the X-Files, right? The smoke-filled room with the men in it and with their cigars, and the three little guys, the nerdy guys on the X-Men
yeah.
I mean, there is with anything like this, it's the sort of thing that people can take too far, to where you have folks like, and I just tossed it on the floor, and I wish I hadn't, but there is this. There's this free magazine that's being given out in the bin out in the front of the building, and they're advertising this pamphlet where they say, 9/11 was a big conspiracy, right? It was all it was all machinated. I don't. I could grab that, but Tyler, why don't you get that for me? Okay.
I tell you what.
But I'm saying that people take it too far, and
I'll tell you what. Can I jump in?
Sure, go ahead.
I don't agree with the author's religious views because, like you, I'm an atheist. But if you read that pamphlet, is a perfect example. If you read that pamphlet, go to the sources, go to the documentation, look at the record, look at official government documents that have been leaked, and you'll see that there's a lot of veracity there's definitely a lot of truth there. You can't just dismiss it as if it's nonsense.
Okay,
and researched it.
Just to add really quickly, okay, so we're in our last minute now.
An important point to this also is that this is the atheist experience.
Yeah.
This is a show that's based on religion and atheism. We're not really here to fuel the conspiracy theory and to go into that. It's it's not the Catholic Church that's ruling the world. It's out of our domain.
Well, not just that, but I mean, just from a purely skeptical position, right? I mean, you know, and we're out of time. We can talk about this a lot more later on, but don't forget tv@atheist-community.org is your viewer feedback address to write us emails. And I just wanted to say there are things such as confirmation bias, where if people have preconceived notions about things, and they can go out and they can write detailed pamphlets where they appear to have it all worked out, but they could still be misreading and misunderstanding a lot of what they think is evidence, okay? So I'm saying that, you know, you should apply skepticism always.